Today on Near Mint Condition, we're going to talk about third-party transformers. And because there are complex issues involved, I invited the smartest person I know. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about a really interesting intersection of copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law.
Nerd!
Let me guess, we're talking about Transformers?
No. Omar told we were talking about third-party stuff, so I brought all of this third-party Pokemon and this third-party game.
Rob's an idiot. Okay,
Rob,
that is not what we're going to be talking about.
So what we're talking about tonight is third-party Transformers.
So Tina was right.
This is my episode, bitch.
Oh my god. Okay, fine. Let's talk about Transformers.
Throwing bitch out there is so natural. Especially when you're talking to Rob. All right.
Third-party Transformers. And when I say third-party, it's Transformers made by people who have not obtained licenses from Hasbro or Takara.
Bootleg Transformers.
No.
No, these are not bootleg prices.
A bootleg is a bad copy, right? So, like, somebody gets a mold and they just start mass producing, and they're not the same quality. They're crap,
Yes.
or they make a mold from an existing toy and then duplicate it that way.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
That is not what we're talking about here.
Okay.
So, what we're talking about here is original designs based on Hasbro's characters of new toys created by people who just said, you know what, I would like a Tarn figure, and there is no Tarn figure. So we're going to make one from scratch. We are going to manufacture it. We are going to arrange for a factory in China to build it, and we're going to sell it for a shitload of money.
That sounds fantastic.
And so this started in like the late aughts with the Classics line. For instance, there was an Ultra Magnus that came out in that line that was just a repaint of Optimus Prime. And somebody was like, you know, it'd be really cool if we had Ultra Magnus armor for that figure. And they made armor that you could buy and stick onto that figure. And from there, it was a very short jump.
Very similar to this. Okay, so that is a Combiner Wars Megatron.
Yes.
But he also has third-party pieces.
Like what?
Such as his, like,
So he's been
cannon
modded,
here.
basically.
Yeah, to look more like the G1 character. Like, there's pieces that cover up the tracks that were in the original one. He's made to look a little bit taller. So it made
Yeah, he looks very
more
similar
like
to
a
my
G1
Megatron.
Megatron,
Yeah.
I mean, and these pieces aren't cheap. They were it was like a $40 add-on pieces.
And that's the thing, none of this is cheap.
Yeah, so
Like,
when you say bootleg, kind of sells it short.
so
like
for
what these
instance,
are.
this figure of Rodimus
That does not
was
look like a
made by
Rodimus ever seen.
Mastermind Creations, and his name is Calidus.
Because they can't legally call him Rodimus Prime.
Of course.
Is like what, $90?
Yeah.
$90.
This figure, who is not Overlord,
Is that his name? Not Overlord.
$190.
Yeah, it's retail about $190. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can see why. It's huge
It's
and amazingly
detailed.
detailed.
And it's also, like he said, they're based on the IDW comics. The
ones that you have.
This
and
one
the
has
ones
like
I also have.
articulated fingers. That's ridiculous.
Right. You can see all the joints on here where these figures just move.
You think Hasbro saw that this was happening? We're like, okay, we need to.
I don't think they care.
And with all this going on, how is it really even legal?
Oh,
Well-
that's a good question.
That's the thing. It's absolutely not. Hasbro has all sorts of intellectual property wrapped up in the Transformers. And let's just say, Hasbro, Takara, all that. We're just going to call it Hasbro for right now.
Okay.
But so, for instance, the Autobot symbol, the Decepticon symbol, those are all trademarks.
This dude's face is a Decepticon symbol. That's so cheating. Oh, sorry.
Actually, and that's where it gets a little weird. Like, it is very close to how it looks in the comics, but they did actually modify it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly
I mean,
the
it
Decepticon
doesn't have the same
symbol.
cheekbones.
Right.
Decepticon
Well, that's
symbol.
exactly it.
But he's right. Like, Overlord over here doesn't have.
Yeah, you'll notice there's no faction symbol here. So
Carnifex.
almost all of the third-party toys don't come with those, though I have seen a couple that have had...
They come with sheets that you have to apply them, like old school G1.
Right.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they
And then-
sold sheets separately.
Well,
for the
along those
Probably,
lines,
because that's kind of stepping.
you can buy
On eggshells there.
sheets of Autobot sigils from different places online.
Right, because what happens
is
if your
completely-
original lost its decal? You buy
Yeah,
the sheets
now everybody seems to be in the business of repro labels anyway, not just for Transformers, but I assume also like Super Nintendo cards and all these Nintendo games that we used to have. Somebody produces these that you could pop back on your original Nintendo card.
And
It's like this awesome label.
and just to be clear, though, none of that is legal. I mean, there is no like adult collectors only minimum. No, that's completely illegal because it is a trademark violation. If you're putting the Autobot logo on something, that is a clear trademark violation of Hasbro's IP.
That's what.
So
Can you
imagine
imagine
your
what
car needs to be like
impounded?
impounded.
Can you imagine Dan at like a Transformers party? That is a trademark violation. Somebody get that motherfucker out of my house.
175.
But the thing about these,
bill your services over to Hasbro.
People question, okay, well, is it illegal to make a completely original sculpt of Overlord? Like, I'm not taking the original Overlord toy and making a mold of it or anything. I'm not copying the copyrighted toy, because you get copyright in something as soon as it is affixed in physical form. But the thing is, copyright extends also to characters. So long as a character is sufficiently delineated, basically it means like so long as they've been given specific physical attributes and characters, and they're not just like a stock character like the Irish cop. This guy, doesn't matter that you don't call him Overlord. This is obviously a depiction of Overlord from the IDW comics. Hasbro pretty much turns a blind eye. Hasbro would absolutely be within their rights to shut all of this down. And in the 80s, Hasbro actually took people to court over jump starters like that were using that same jump start transforming technology. If you remember the rub signs from the original Transformers,
I remember the Battle Beast.
yeah,
had the
well,
same rub sign.
the
Oh, that was
part of the
different.
rub signs was a promotional, like, don't buy toys that don't have rub signs on them, because that's how you know they're real Transformers. There was that commercial about
Only we have the right to wear this symbol. Or this symbol. Only we are Autobots and Decepticons. Good versus evil. And only we have the right to be called the Transformers.
And there are, like, trade ads where Hasbro is putting out ads and say, we're going to knock out the knockoffs.
Well, I remember the BotCon that we went to, they shut down anybody that was selling any third-party stuff.
Oh.
As far as, like, there were people that, like, they were told...
BotCon did or Hasbro did?
BotCon, which was the official Hasbro convention.
So they shut it down as far as, like, telling everybody, do not bring third parties here or we will shut you down. And they did, remember? Because there were, like, cops sitting there at one of the booths because they were selling third-party stuff.
Are they coming at it more like this kind of helps keep the market active and people interested in the material?
It's all speculation, right? I mean,
That's
who knows
true.
why? I mean, it might just be
It could just be like,
yeah,
it's too much trouble to go.
it's too much trouble. Who knows?
Because you would have to go after multiple people.
Yeah, because
I mean,
there
it's not
are
just
tons of
Mastermind
companies
Creations.
making
There's a
these now.
lot of third-party companies and they all make their own. Like, I believe there's another company that made another six-shot. There's different companies that made a Megatron that is scale with the masterpieces. So I mean, you're not just going after one dude that's sitting in his mom's basement making these out of his 3D printer. You're going after multiple companies all over the world.
Well, you'd also say that
That's almost too much trouble. And if it's not, and like you're saying, if they're not cutting into the profit, what's the point?
You'd also say that, any publicity is good publicity. Like, the fact that this exists means that there's still interest in this Transformers line and little comics and things like that. So it's not a bad thing.
That's exactly it. So I think it's really fascinating that they aren't going after it, because that has to be a decision. Somewhere in the Hasbro dungeon, they had a bunch of lawyers together who were like, "Let us go." They're like, "No, just hold on."
Or you know what? Or maybe they didn't, and now that we've shown them this, now they're going to come after these guys. Good job, Dan.
Oh shit!
Damn it, Dan.
So these third-party Transformers, or transforming robots made by people who aren't Hasbro or Takara, are a pretty controversial issue. What do you think? Have you bought any? Do you like them? Do you think that Hasbro should maybe go after these people, or do you think that we're better off if we have a huge market of every character you might want? Let us know your opinion, and we'll see you next time.
We're repro. God damn! Are you done? Are you okay, man?
Oh, no.
Why don't you make sure you're clear, though? Slip a dick in there.
Tina, help me out here.
Outtake.